Hi, I'm Emily Walsh, and in today's video we're going to be responding to a YouTuber named Amala, and she has a video out called "Is it okay to ask for someone's body count in dating?" I'm a feminist, so I'm going to be reacting. If you love my videos, please like and subscribe and click the bell icon so you can be notified of all my upcoming videos. So a little bit about Amala. She is a conservative, previously a leftist, and now has gone to the other side. She works for PragerU. Some of you might actually know that, especially if you're American. And I just want to quickly explain before we get started that body count is the amount of people that you have slept with in your lifetime.
With modern day feminism and those sort of narratives circulating in the younger generation, body count is something that is often talked about. You know, we are having discussions about sexual promiscuity, about how many people women sleep with, whether or not it's an issue for women who sleep with a lot of men, and whether or not men should be privy to that sort of information. Modern day feminists might tell you it doesn't matter, you shouldn't care, and he shouldn't ask because it shouldn't affect the way that he views you. And I think there is maybe a point to be made there, but we're gonna get into this discussion. Let's watch this TikTok first.
Why do you think men care about a woman's body count?
Do you? People actually care about that shit?
Men in general.
If a man is asking my body count, he can get
Wow.
Who gives a Oh my god, that's so stupid. People actually ask that shit?
Yes.
Okay, well then you're talking to the wrong man.
Okay, so my thoughts is straight away that I feel like this girl is very upset. And to be honest, I would be as well. And I think the reason is because we all understand the cog only spins one way. I can pretty much guess that this guy is basically implying that while it's not okay for women to sleep around, it's totally okay for men to sleep around. And I think that's what a lot of women get annoyed about. And I think this is why this woman is getting really upset because of the blatant sexism.
If a man is ever asking about your body count, you're talking to the wrong man, and he can get like, that's so stupid.
So can I ask you this then?
Yeah, sure.
So, what do you think about the analogy? If one key can open many locks, it's known as a master key.
Oh, goodness.
As opposed to if you have a lock that can be opened by any key, it's a shitty lock.
Okay, let's pause there.
And I am also going to pause there because before Amala speaks, I'm going to say, exactly, I was exactly right. The thing is that she got upset because it's a double standard, right? We shame, not so much these days, but we definitely shame a lot more women for this behavior, but we don't shame men. In fact, not only do we not shame them, but we encourage them as well. And this goes towards an imbalance. So yeah, and this whole analogy is kind of stupid, but I think let's hear what Amala has to say.
His analogy is basically saying that women are the lock and men are the key. And, you know, a lock that can be opened by any key, meaning many men can sleep with you, is a really bad lock. But a key that can open any lock, or a man that can sleep with any woman, is a master key. I don't agree with that analogy at all.
Thank you so much. I actually feel like Amala's videos, Amala's perspective on things is quite fair. Obviously, I disagree with some of the things that she says coming up next, but yeah, she's actually a fairly level-headed person. So I agree with that 100%.
We're gonna get into that discussion about whether or not the body count conversation is a two-way conversation or if it's a one-way conversation. I can see the arguments that people make for both. And this girl's argument is certainly very interesting. They can get effed, according to her.
I think that if a woman is an analogy to you, then you're not ready to be talking to a woman, and you should probably get So, if a woman is the key to you, talk to your mom, talk to your sister, talk to your cousin, I don't know, get a real life, and get Thank you.
I can really sense her pain. I'm a millennial, so I grew up more so before sexual liberation and more so like, oh, you know, women, this is after the days of waiting until marriage and before the days of sexual liberation for women. And it was very tough because, you know, we would be shamed just on the basis that we're women. Like, it didn't matter whether we slept with people or whether we didn't sleep with people. I know plenty of women that have been bullied and harassed just on the basis that she said no to a guy. And yeah, I really feel this girl's pain, because it's like we would fall in love with a guy, we'd date him, he would tell us all the right things, and then we would go on a date, and then we would finally, you know, have sex with them because we want to express that love that we have for them. And then you notice the interest just dropping off, like straight away. You notice that they either ghost you, but sometimes it's not as obvious. Sometimes they just don't message you so much. They don't talk to you for so long, and you just notice this straight away after having sex. And you know then that they were lying about how much they liked you. They were lying about wanting a relationship with you. And it's very tough to deal with that rejection. Now, don't get me wrong, everybody gets rejected, but there's a difference between being lied to, so you open up to them and you have sex with them, and then they reject you, you know, because that is way more of a scam, you know, and that's way more painful than just someone simply saying, no, I don't want to date you. And on top of that, on top of being rejected after opening yourself up to them, after you've just found out that they lied to you, is that, oh, and by the way, now your body count is one person higher, which makes you even more worthless than you're feeling. So it can be very upsetting for a lot of women. And I totally understand where this girl is coming from. She's just had enough. And he clearly is exactly it by that stupid analogy. I mean, I can make an analogy. How about I make an analogy? Penises are like pencils and vaginas are like sharpeners. And the more you sharpen a pencil, the smaller the pencil gets. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. There you go, men. The more women you sleep with, the smaller your dick will come. There you go. There you go. That's an analogy for you. So, yeah, let's get on with it.
This has 1.1 million likes on it, which I am assuming means that for 1.1 million people, this girl's words resonated with them pretty heavily.
It would appear so, yeah.
Yeah. So let's talk about it, okay? Because whether you like it or not, this is a discussion that people are going to have. You're going to get into a relationship with a guy or with a woman, and they're going to be like, hey, how many people have you been in a relationship with before? And how far did you go in that relationship? And I could see from a strong feminist perspective why that would not be a question that maybe you would care about, or maybe it's a question you would be offended by, because sex only means so much, and why should it matter how many people I've slept with because I'm with you now and it doesn't say anything about myself. But in my opinion, I think body count is something that both men and women should be a little concerned about when it comes to dating somebody. I'm not saying it needs to be your end-all, be-all, or you have to have a certain number that's a deal breaker when you're dating somebody, but it's perfectly plausible to me that you may be concerned about how many people your partner has slept with. And not because it makes you particularly disgusting as a woman or as a man, but there's just important conversations that are attached to that. It speaks to how you value yourself, what you value when it comes to relationships, whether or not sex is a major thing for you or something that you feel like can be quite frivolous and can be thrown around.
Okay, so I just have to stop it there. And I strongly disagree with this. I don't think a number can really do this. Now, asking your partners about your sexual past is very different to asking for a number. I feel like, yeah, okay, sleeping with people that don't care about you sleeping around is pretty shallow. I must admit, it's a shallow experience. And I feel like asking someone's body count is also shallow because it's just a number and it doesn't actually say how, like all those things, how you feel about sex. It doesn't really tell you much about the person. You are just, if someone is to judge you on a number, you have to make, that person will have to make huge assumptions about you. And like, okay, I'll give you an example. So if, let's just say my body count was 5, right? And I said to my partner, my body count is 5. They would assume that all those partners were consensual partners, but maybe they weren't. You know, you're making an assumption, right? And we do have people, okay, I know this is like quite sad and everything, but we do have a lot of people that, you know, a lot of children that were abused when they're younger, and when they got older, they became very promiscuous. And then they realized, hey, this is not the way. Maybe they healed their trauma. Maybe they're working on that, on themselves. And they realized, this is not the path for me. I want a real relationship. I want, you know, a family and everything. And they want to go after that. You can't change your body count, right? You can't change a number, but you can change your perspective. You can change your behavior. And so therefore, if a guy was to judge me based on the amount of people that I slept with, I would feel like he would not really know me. He would have to make huge assumptions and not really know my past. When I get into a relationship with someone, I don't think I've really had anyone ask me about my body count, but yeah, it depends how long they were in a relationship with me for. So obviously if it's on the first date, it's like, I'm not going to open up about my sexual past to you on our first date. I don't even know you. But if it's after a month or after a particular amount of time, then yes, I would share some stuff about my sexual past with them. I would share my perspective on sex and intimacy, and people's minds can be changed. And so I would be quite happy to tell him about my past. But if he just asked for a number, like just a number, really? That's really shallow.
It speaks to how intimate you've gotten with many different people. And we can act like those things don't matter, and we can take the feminist perspective on things and go, well, why should it care? Why should we care? Men can be sexually promiscuous. Why can't I be sexually promiscuous? And why is it different when I do it? We can act like those statements are true, but they're not true. And men care about it. Women care about it as well. And I think our culture is shifting a little bit. Like I see young women being like, oh, I want a man who's more experienced. The more women that he's been with, the better for me. I'm not sure I agree with you. Again, I understand this.
Okay, I don't agree either with the experience thing. I mean, if you want someone that has a lot of experience, that's your personal preference, and that doesn't affect me in any way. But yeah, I think I would have to agree with Marla. It doesn't give you, like, it doesn't make you better. And being in a relationship with someone shouldn't be based on sex. I don't think. It should be based on whether you really care about that person, whether you fit, whether your values align. As someone that, you know, obviously isn't a virgin, I would have to say, like, if I fell in love with someone and they were a virgin, I would totally be with them. And it's up to them if they want to be with someone that isn't.
Something that you've been concerned about in dating. You're married now, of course. Was this ever a discussion?
I mean, like we knew the information about each other, and it is
Right.
a relevant thing. You should date someone and seek to be with someone who generally shares your values. If you're going to be in a long-term relationship or marriage with someone, then yeah, that is it. It is relevant to know or discuss like prior sexual activity, or just more generally, like what is your attitude towards sex? What's your and it's not that I need this detailed history or anything, but it's
Sure.
just I need to understand where you are in your values with regard to sex and sexuality. And I think that that's relevant for lots of reasons.
See, I agree with him more. So he's not actually talking about a number. He's talking about like your idea of sex and getting to know that. And I totally fully agree. It's everybody's personal preference who they want to date and for what reason. But, you know, to say a number, I feel like is shallow. But I'm repeating myself.
Right.
So the idea that it's just facially insulting or wrong to go there is just it's silly, and it concerns me that this is resonating with so many people in our culture, because I think you should care.
You should. It's as much as we want to say it's not something to just be thrown around or be taken lightly, or something that you shouldn't be asked about or you should be offended by. These are decisions that you've made that directly affect the person that you're with. And we can argue that they don't affect the person that you're with. It's in the past, but it does, and it can. And it
Yeah, I mean, I guess some things affect people, but at the end of the day, if you want a loving relationship and you found someone that really fits with you, and their idea of sex is that they want to, you know, only be with you, they're very monogamous, and they want the same things as you do, they want to start a family, and then find out, okay, they've had, you know, they've slept with so many people like in the past, and for you to be like, oh, well, this is going to change, or like this is going to change it. I'm thinking, no, like not really. You're making huge guesses and stuff. I think I might end it there. So I want to end this video on a story that one of my mates told me, and that was that he went to church and he found fell in love with a girl, and she was a virgin. He had slept with a few people before her, but she hadn't slept with anyone, and they got married. So she had only slept with him, and I think they were married for I think 3 years, but I could be wrong. So they were married for a particular amount of time, and then she left him and said, you know, I don't want to just be with you. I want to see, you know, I want to see what's out there. Basically, she thought the grass was greener on the other side, and she left him and got a divorce. And then 2 years later, she came back and said, oh my God, I made a huge mistake. I had a huge mistake. I was like sleeping with some guys, which was fine, which is great at the start. But then after a while, when I discovered that I liked someone and I wanted more from them, they didn't want more from me. And that's when she started feeling very lonely, and she started realizing how painful it was to just sleep around, or painful it was to not actually be with one person. Okay, and she really regrets it, and she wants to be back with him in that relationship, but obviously she's already destroyed that. So that's the thing. He married her, and he was the only person she had sex with, and yet this happened. And she left him because she thought the grass was greener on the other side. Now, you might get with someone that has slept around, or who has had multiple partners, whether they be in relationships or one night stands, whatever, okay, before you meet them. But they might have the idea that, look, I'm never gonna, like, if I marry you, I'm never going to think the grass is greener on the other side, because I've been to the other side and I know how much of a wasteland it is. I know how lonely and empty and shallow it is. And now that I've found you, I know the grass is greener with you and I want to stay with you. You know, they know this, they're sure of it, right? So I'm not saying that don't marry virgins because they'll leave you for the, you know, for to go sleep around. I'm just saying you never know with people, right? You cannot predict the future. Really learn how that person feels and what their goals are in life, their values, where they want to go in life, rather than just basing your whole guess on them on a number. So I hope that really resonates with a lot of people. I tried to be reasonable towards conservatives' perspectives. I totally understand where Amala's coming from, but you know, we need to address these things and why women these days, or feminists, are really upset or get really upset when it comes to these types of questions and assumptions. Okay. Thank you so much. So if you like this video, please like and subscribe, and remember to click the bell icon so you can be notified of all my upcoming videos. Have a good day.